Hi, thank you for showing up in such great numbers. Um, I'm here to talk about a content integration project that we try to do. But first, let me introduce myself. Um, I'm Inge Weyers, and I'm not a content strategist. I'm a business consultant for a content company, a technical content company. And we do consultancy projects for many different things. Mostly I'm involved in CMS implementations. And in this line, we were offered or we were asked to join into a request for proposal for a content integration at one of Holland's major educational publishers. And that seemed like a very nice challenge for us. It linked into many of the things that we work in with content management and structured content, and some other things that we have some experience in, though it's not our core business. So we entered into this content integration project. And what I want to talk to you about here today is the problems that you face during content integration, and where these problems come from and how to maybe overcome these issues. First, I want to say a little bit about the strategy that we offered and what they were looking for. They had several short-term goals. They had a lot of content contributors. Their content writers were actually teachers and educational professionals. So the people working with the content are also writing the content. And they needed to move from Word documents and completely unstructured content to highly structured content that they could use for lots of different things than just one book at one time. They needed to streamline their own internal processes to get to the content integration. They wanted multi-channel publishing like everyone else these days. And publishing on demand so that they could create educational packages for specific students so that each student would have their own educational content fitted to their own needs, which is quite a challenge. And then they also wanted a closed feedback loop in which the student could actually provide new content for their educational packages. In the long term, they had some wishes as well. They wanted a flexible partner who would work with them and look with them at the future and see possibilities and know what it could be or where they could go to in the future. So we entered into this request for proposal. And the way we saw it, they needed an integrated system. They wanted lots of different things, and they needed to achieve these short-term goals. And I want to make this a bit of an interactive presentation, so I'd like to get your views on these things. When we were looking at the integrated system bit, we looked at many different content management systems, publication systems, and also at lots of separate tools. And we were debating internally between using one system that meets most of the requirements set in this for this content strategy, and expanding it as needed, or integrate several tools that also cover these areas that needed, but integrate them into one system. And I would just like to see within this group, within this audience of content strategists, how you would go, what you would do. So maybe I can get a raise of hands for the first option. So you use a system and then expand it to meet your needs. I see one person, 2, 3, 4, 5, and who would try to integrate multiple tools that seem to meet more of the demands and try to make one system of it. That's a slightly more enthusiastic group. We went for the last bit as well. We looked at everything they needed, and this seems quite complex, and it took some time to figure out what they needed. But we came to an authoring portal that would allow for different types of content contributors. We would need a CMS that covers everything to streamline their processes, to allow reviewing and according, to a sort of educational portal where the users can get the information from. And in the end, we decided to base it on SharePoint and Suite Solutions, which is a CMS based on SharePoint, using several plugins, because that's what SharePoint allows for. We used several different authoring tools. We used graphic editors, because in education you need graphics as well. And we used review tools, and Oxygen, of course, fits in both the authoring and the review tools. So that was what we offered. Then you get the next step. You have the set of tools or the system that you want to use, and how are you going to see if this works? So we get to the next question. Do you implement a basic sort of system for a pilot project? Or do you first analyze the system requirements, or the user requirements actually, that they need to see if the tools you selected or the tools you sort of have your eye on work for these people? So I'd like to see a show of hands again. Who's for the first option? So that's 3 people. And the second option? Again, a bit more. We also went for the second option. This is analysis, or a requirement analysis scheme that we use regularly for many different situations, in which we look at the entire organization, from the sort of services they need from their content to the systems they want to use or they have to use. And we look at them both ways. So we look at what systems are needed to create the services, and the other way around. Each service requires sort of systems that are necessary for it. And we proposed that for each of the functionalities that they desired, we would do a sort of requirement analysis to see whether the tools that we selected would fit, so that you don't start on a complicated implementation project that then fails because the tool, with hindsight, did not meet the set requirements. After this, you get to the implementation part. And once again, you can implement a basic system and do a pilot project. You now know the requirements, so you know which tools you need, so you can get all the basic functionalities and start from there. Or you can implement it step by step and see how the users work with it, and then go to the next bit of the system and work from there. Once again, I'd like to see a show of hands to see which one would go for the first option. And the second. Again, I'm getting the feeling that we offered something that works, because we also went for the Scrum way of doing things, in which we would first implement the authoring capabilities to see how that works with those key users, go from there to the content management, slowly implement the different plugins that realize the planning for educational programs, and the reviewing capabilities they desired. And from that, in that way, build up the system in a slow but efficient manner. And then we had our pitch. So this was all our proposal, and then we pitched it. And in this, it came up to two things, or two problems. Like I said before, you have the system capabilities that can be problematic, and you have the user expectations. And I would like to see if you can guess where we had the most problems of convincing people. Do you think the system capabilities were our biggest issue during the pitch? Or the user expectations? And that is the case. Bridging the gap between what they expected to see during that pitch and what we were actually offering wasn't an easy task. We thought we offered them everything they wanted. We offered them a solution that could get their short-term goals realized, but also showed that we were flexible, that we could look at tools, but we're not bound to systems or tools. We want to work with them to see what fits their organization best. But as every customer, they had certain expectations, certain programs they thought they would see, certain applications they thought we would use. And we did not meet these things, these expectations. So in the end, unfortunately, we were rejected, and they went for a complete system that was already halfway there. But through this presentation, I wanted to see whether we are on the right track. And it seems like we are, or at least according to the content strategists, we are on the right track when it comes to implementing something, a system this big, because it was going to be a huge project, long term. So yeah, I'm glad to see that we at least had the same ideas as you, and you are obviously the experts as content strategists. Then I'd like to thank you for your cooperation, and see you around.